Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to MaxSpeedTV here tonight as we are at Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida, in the great old country of the US of A. Welcome, everybody. Come on in, grab a seat, sit on down just to stand right back up. Whatever it is you're doing, make sure you stay right here as we are getting ready to bring you some great racing action from Pensacola. These guys getting their drivers meeting underway right now. And in case you're wondering what this is the RFC Vaportrail Clothing Truck Series as they present the Five Flags 150. Very excited to have all y'all on board with us here tonight. While we have a few minutes, let's not forget, provided down below in the broadcast description here will be links to not only our sponsor, the Ohio IndyCar League, who is looking for drivers. If you are interested in the Ohio IndyCar League, make sure you check them out. They will sign you up as they race the IR18 once a month, with prizes being handed out. So make sure you check out the Ohio IndyCar League. Also, don't forget, oh yeah, there we go. You know what, a little slow today, I'm getting there, I apologize. And that is the Ohio IndyCar League. You can find them also on Facebook at Ohio IndyCar League. Guys, I also want to say that tonight's broadcast is brought to you by the Hershey Design Company. Make sure you check out the Hershey Design Company here as well. What a great night this is for racing. Five Flags Speedway and the truck. It'll be an interesting night. Looks like we got a few cars finally starting to roll out. Our current top 10 right now looks something like this. Ryan Matthews, last week's winner in the 51 machine, topping the chart once again. David Roach in the 09 machine, and the 90 of Tommy Haynes in third. Fourth is Chris Berg, and Ricky All-Star Harden rounds out your top 5, as he is going to drop down into 6th here, as Eric Teska in the 99 just going to replace him just like that. Coming up next is qualifying, and that'll take place here in about 2 minutes. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, January 23rd at 8:15 p.m. Central, the RFC Hershey Design Pro Series. We'll be doing the Parkinson's Action Network 125 at Iowa Speedway. Make sure you tune in for that. And then next week, the Racing for a Cause Vaportrail Clothing Truck Series. We'll be doing the Dover 100. And that's going to be at Dover, so make sure you tuned in for that. Drivers are back on track. Final few moments of practice. Got to get that fast lap in. Ooh, the 98 Aaron Toller spinning into turn number 1. '88 of Dale Osmond. Looking out the back of that as he's going to scrape the wall here in this very short track. The 17 AJ Rogers diving down underneath him. Looks like utter chaos in this practice session right now. Kind of would like to be out there. I like to thrive on the chaos here. However, tonight's racing probably going to be a little bit like this. Hopefully we won't have a lot of yellows. Hopefully this thing will be clean and green, and these guys will put on a heck of a show for you. The 11 of Brian Hacker getting his final few laps in. 15 seconds left here in practice. '33 of Guillaume Fortin. Checkered flag dropping on this practice session. We're gonna switch it right on over into qualifying. So hold on to your hat, folks, because here we go. Guillaume in the 33, rolling out. On to the front stretch, taking the green flag. Guillaume gonna be turning his first lap. You see a lot of sparks here from other cars that are doing their qualifying laps. We just can't see them, as Guillaume is gonna cross the start finish line, currently good enough for second. Justin Rigsby in the 99 machine. Rigsby right now sitting in 10th. The 51 of Ryan Matthews sitting on pole for the moment in that 51 machine. Chris Berg sitting in 4th. Bobby Summers in the 23. Very glad to have Bobby Summers back out here. We dearly missed him last season, in the last half of that season. Very glad to have him back. Ooh, man, inner Trump coming out there. Just keep using the word very. Sooner or later, someone will add a word for you. Eric Teska in the 99, he's shutting his machine down. Doug Wysocki in the 45, sporting a New England Patriots paint scheme. Why, you may ask? No, he's not a Patriots fan. Unfortunately, he lost the bet between himself and Rick Greenaway as to who would win the AFC Championship. Doug Wysocki was on the losing end of that but being a man of his word, he is going to run a New England Patriots paint scheme here tonight. Jason Anderson in the 92. Anderson right now sitting in second place. Only the top 26 are gonna make it in here tonight. '76 of Tony Quadros. Gonna take us on board here for a lap around Five Flags. Running in that upper lane. Getting in the wall a little bit there. Right now, Tony sitting in 29th place. And the 86, Jay Weezy, old Jerry West, getting out on the track. Weezy sporting the SRTV network truck. Also having COPD on the side of that beautiful looking machine. This is a great looking logo, great looking truck. The racing stripe really looking very nice. He is the only truck out on the track for the moment. Jerry West taking us for a few laps here in qualifying. Well, guys, I do want to make sure that y'all know just how much I appreciate you coming out here tonight. Been a spectacular qualifying session so far. Right now, Ryan Matthews topping that speed chart in the 51 machine. All right, guys, we're gonna step away for just a moment. We'll be right back after this.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
We take you down onto the track for our opening ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Please remove your hats.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As the drivers are starting to take to the grid, you are going to have to bear with me for just a moment, and I do appreciate your patience, but the league is trying something new, and they do have ownership points being involved here, so we're going to try and go through our starting lineup, and just know it may not be 100% correct. Ryan Matthews in the 51. Gonna be starting on pole on row number 1, as that's where the pole is. Last week's race winner Jason Anderson in the 92. Row 2, Tommy Haynes, and the 67 of Chris Berg. Row 3 will be the 21 of Ricky Harden and the 30 of Will Dravicki. Row 4, the 99 of Eric Teska and Steve Baker in the 55. Row 5, David Roach and Brian Hacker. Row 6, the 17 of A.J. Rogers and the 88 of Dale Osmond. Row 7 will be the 52 of Tyler Hilton and the 56 of John Wimbish. Row 8 will be John Johnson and Doug Johnson. Row 9 will be the 33 of Guillaume Fortin and the 46 of Chris Mefford. Row 10 will be Ray Radford and the 03 of Paul Henley. Row 11 will be the 05 of Justin Rigsby and the 08 of Tom Quattlebaum. Row 12 will be the 85 of Peyton Johnson and the 98 of Aaron Tolhurst. Row 13, Andy Lambert and Jerry West. We are only taking 25 drivers here tonight. So there are going to be a few discrepancies, as the qualifying session did have drivers being scored in that session a little bit higher, but they did not have enough points to do anything with. Troy Radford joining me in the booth. Troy, can you explain this a little bit?
Absolutely. So, of course, on a short track like this, it's really hard to start 40 cars. And I want to be real quick and brief because we're about to go green here. But we had to start 25 cars. So we had 20 provisionals for the top 20 in points. After that, it left 5 spots for people to actually qualify their way in. So I hate to do that, but you know what? It definitely makes for a tight field, and we've got some really good competition. KR, I'm going to hand the start over to you as we're heading towards the turn 3 here.
All right, Ryan Matthews in the 51, last week's race winner, picking up right where he left off with that checkered flag. Here we go, folks. The RFC Vaportrail Clothing Truck Series is green here at Five Flags. Down into turn number 1 they go. Ryan Matthews getting a little bit of a pull over the 92 of Jason Anderson. Anderson looking like he is going to try and find a way to slide in behind the 51, and just like that, we've already got 1 lap down of our 150 laps. Whew, that's a mouthful, Troy.
I know it. You know, we got some really good racing here. I'm watching some side-by-side action here with David Roach and AJ Rogers running in about the 13th position. Kind of watching some of this mid-pack stuff, and you know what, I'm seeing a lot of really good battles. Everybody's giving a little bit. I'm trying to, we got a long race here tonight, so it looks like everybody's trying to give a little bit more give and take than usual, and, you know, keep those cars underneath them for the rest of the race.
It is going to be a long race if you get that car damaged early on. I've been in those situations. Never fun to get some damage very early in the race, because then you're just fighting the car. You have nothing to do but just log laps. Nobody enjoys that. But I will tell you right now, the 88 of Dale Osmond way up on the high side here. Looks like he's trying to find a spot to slide into, and he is going to tuck in behind the 17 of AJ Rogers. Rogers running that Hub Use Sim giveaway truck. Looking very stout here so far.
Absolutely. And you know, especially you talking about the high side, that's kind of one of the features of this track that I love so much is, you know, of course, if you're running by yourself, you really want to kind of be towards the middle to the bottom on this track. But man, if you're running tight, you can really use that high side to your advantage to get a good run off, kind of pin them down low a little bit. And it really does open up a lot when you're running hard with somebody and you've got that outside to work with.
Now, Troy, you're typically a driver out here in this series, but tonight you're joining me in the broadcast booth, so your insight into how these things handle and how the truck's supposed to work is going to be very valuable all night long, especially as we get into this no tire rule discussion and the later stages of the race.
It is, and you know, that's something we decided to do as we were kind of looking at the rule book here. You know, you've got a very short track. It's really hard to get a full 4-tire stop here done and not go a lap down. So I thought, as a fairness standpoint, what we would do is just this. We'd say, okay, well, if you can't have the guys in the middle of the pack making a pit stop without going a lap down, then we're just not going to let anybody. And we're going to see who can keep the tires underneath them right now. I know we've got a couple of different kind of diverging theories here. You got Ryan Matthews who's just charging hard up front, pulling away from Jason Anderson, looking really strong. But then in the back, one of the guys who I know is having, you know, I know his mentality, but you got Thomas Quattlebaum running actually in 26th. So apparently I actually cannot add, and I left 26 drivers in the field. But Thomas is running 26th right now, and I know he's a lot better driver than that. So I know, just thinking about Tom and what he's doing, as well as Dustin Sherman and Jerry West, those guys are back there just conserving tires for the last half of this race.
Well, Tom in that 08 machine might be conserving tires, but he's not too far from going a lap down. as he is already 14 seconds behind the leader, and our leader is turning 16-second lap times. He's closing in on him very quickly.
Oh yeah, so Tom, you know, he's conserving, but man, he's definitely going to have to get up on it a little bit here, as right now he's just falling maybe a little bit too far behind.
We're going to go on board with Ryan Matthews in the 51 machine. Matthews starting to track down and close in on Tom Quattlebaum. He will be the first one to go a lap down, but you know, it's still very early. This is only going to be 15 laps completed as we start lap 16. And Tom running a higher line while Ryan Matthews is really just getting after it on the bottom.
Yeah, and actually looks like we got our first caution out there, KR, right now. We've got a couple of trucks involved. Looks like Eric Teskey barrel rolling down the back straightaway.
Eric Teska in the 99.
Actually, somehow no caution?
Caution.
Yeah, no caution.
All right, let's back this up real quick, see if we can figure out what happened in the 99 machine. As it looks like him and Steve Baker are going to make contact coming off of turn number 2. How that is not a caution, I do not know. That should have been a caution right there with that car barrel rolling in front of everyone. But no caution out. Ryan Matthews in the 51. He is now got 2-3 cars, 1 lap down, starting to close in on the 28 of Dustin German. Dustin German with a podium finish in the opening race. Here he is now going a lap down as he sits 23rd.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely got some strong guys who are going a lap down here. Looks like a couple of cars involved in that wreck there. Of course, you've got Steve Baker, who's been really strong this season, as well as Eric Teskey and John Wimbish. Look like both got some damage there. Oh, definitely not. And, you know, looking at, like you were just saying here, you've got Jay Weezy, Steve Baker, got a couple of other guys just battling there hard there. So definitely Ryan Matthews does not have it easy right now. I'm not really sure what happened to him. I didn't see Dustin get into anything or have any major anything, but so I'm not sure if he's got some internet issues or what the situation is. Yep, looks like Dustin German actually disconnected, but he's coming back in. So I'm not sure what happened, but maybe a technical issue there. Looks like he may have had to switch over to his other box. That's really kind of the smart way to do it at this point. You know, Ryan doesn't have a whole lot of pressure from behind right now, so it's really not a bad idea for him to use the picks of these lap cars, especially from, you know, Steve Baker, who has a lot of speed. So I think that's probably not a bad option. But I know right now watching Ryan's having a little bit of a hard time getting by the 47 of Ray Radford. Ray doesn't seem to be given much, which of course, you know, we don't ask that they do.
Ray in that 47 machine holding up Ryan Matthews. This is the break that Steve Baker needed, but Matthews now going to dive down underneath him. and able to get around. Oh, as Ray Radford's going to go around after contact with Chris Berg. That is going to stack the field up. And I'm willing to bet that cautions are not turned on here in this race tonight. But Ryan Matthews is able to get through it, managed to pass, and there is the caution for this. As Ryan Matthews in the 51 is not going to get Steve Baker or Jay Weezy a lap down. Those two with a very spirited drive in front of them. And with this caution coming out, we are going to check and look at our replay here and watch what happens coming off of turn number 4. Ray Radford gets turned, the 21 machine getting involved as the field stacks up behind him a little bit. And that is going to give the lead to Ryan Matthews now, with no tires being taken here tonight. As we look at our race analysis, laps, 150 laps, going to equal 75 miles. Our fuel window is right around 145 to 150 green flag laps, but with this caution here, everyone should be able to make it. And pit road speed is 35 miles an hour, and I'll tell you what, that track temp of 80 degrees, air temp is 71, looking real nice as everyone here is pretty much in the dead set middle of winter and just enjoying that cool breeze that comes with winter. So with Ryan Matthews now being reined in behind the pace car, Chris Berg in the 67 sitting in second place. Chris Berg, who started in 4th, doing a great job here tonight, looking for a win. But Will Dravicki sitting right behind him in 3rd, and 4th place going to Tommy Haynes and AJ Rogers in the 17 all the way up to 5th. So despite this short track racing, Rogers having to work through traffic has not stalled him out any at all. Drivers getting a chance to catch their breath. We're turning about a 16-second lap time here at Five Flags Speedway in the truck. And it may not seem like it, but man, that is flat getting after it. And these guys are very thankful for the break. Grab it, a little drink of water, get a chance to reset, bunch the field back up. The leaders will be happy about that. They're not going to have to work through a lap traffic.
Yep, and KR, I was just actually double checking a few things. Sorry for being quiet there, but I was double checking a few things. There's some reason when I set up the session, it did take, normally we always run yellow flags on. So for some reason when I set it up, it's set up to admin cautions only. So I'm actually going to have to just be a little careful here and make sure that we've got all of the cautions turned on and everything. So I'll have to do a little bit manual here.
Double duty here as Troy Radford joining me in the broadcast booth and doing admin duties. Well, Troy, good luck to you on that. But however, green flag is back out. We are underway once again for the Five Flags 150. And Ryan Matthews not wasting any time, getting a good jump over Chris Berg. But Chris Berg in that 67, he's looking for that win. He's hungry. Berg put on a dominating performance at Rockingham, only to be cut down in his prime, not able to get that checkered flag. And I think he has something to prove here tonight, as he is hunting down Ryan Matthews. And the caution flag is flying once again, as it looks like maybe the 33 of Guillaume finding it difficult to finish this race. We're going to back this up, go to our MaxSpeedTV replay, and figure out what happened to Guillaume. As it looks like he got on the binders trying to get into turn number 3 and just overheats his tires and never really gets a chance to save it, stuffs it in the wall, gets stuck, and has to take the reset button, that is going to hurt his chances here tonight. So guys, while we have just a minute, we're going to step away. We'll be right back after this. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as the lights have gone out on the pace car. That can only mean one thing: field getting ready to fire off once again. Ryan Matthews, Chris Berg, and Will Dravicki and AJ Rogers making up row number 2. Here we go. Green flag not coming out as we get a delayed caution here at the last second. Wow, that was very, very close to creating a problem, as these guys very possibly in the back of the pack could have thought the green flag was coming out, but handled like professionals. Everyone was able to check up, no more issues. One more caution here being thrown as they're trying to get the field lined up. Quite a few cars out of place. Things not quite the way they need to be, so I'm going to cycle them around so we can get the order set correctly. So Steve Baker in the 55, after putting up a valiant fight to stay on the lead lap, right now he is sitting in 12th place. That SRTV network yellow truck has done a tremendous job at not going a lap down, at getting through the field. And another driver, we mentioned it earlier, the 45 of Doug Wysocki, he is running a Patriots paint scheme due to Oh man, well, Troy, I'll tell you what, adminning and commentating, that double duty there, not going to be too easy for you tonight. I would hate to be in your work shoes, but here we go. Green flag coming out, and Ryan Matthews wasting no time to get rolling on this track, and Will Dravicki diving down underneath Chris Berg here as he is going to try and take away second place.
Straightaways and be able to, you know, get up here and compete with Dravicki, but looks like he might have got bogged down just a little bit too much, so we'll see if he can keep working that outside.
Ryan Matthews, though, still out front, has been our leader here for all of the laps. AJ Rogers now in fourth place, slowly but surely working his way up to the front. He started in 11th. Now looking at trying to find a way around the 30 of Will Dravicki. Right now, rounding out your top 5 is Tommy Haynes in the 90 machine, and right behind him is Brian Hacker.
Absolutely, and you know what, we've got a lot of good short track guys in here. We've got, I mean, you look at the top guys here. Ryan Matthews is great on the short tracks. Dravicki, AJ Rogers, Hacker, a lot of those guys are really short track specialists, and it's really good to see them getting out here and, you know, making it tough on some of these guys. You know, a lot of these guys are just used to running the bigger tracks, and not saying they're not good on the short tracks, but man, it definitely makes them stretch a little bit.
Matthews getting ever so close to that halfway mark. That halfway mark going to be very important. A little bit of a crossover period, so to speak. We're going to start seeing the drivers who have abused their tires falling back, and the ones who have managed to hold on to something start moving forward. And with the pace that Ryan Matthews has set, not sure where that is going to fall for him, but he is starting to pull away from Chris Berg, as Berg in that 67 looking smaller and smaller in that rear view mirror.
Absolutely. You know, I'm kind of watching back here a little bit. We got some really good battling here working the high side. You've got Tyler Hilton, Steve Baker, Dale Osmond back there kind of running for that top 10 position. Tyler's been trying to work that high side even by himself. He's been working that outside, letting the truck roll a little bit more rather than pinching it down in the center. Doing a really nice job out there. And of course, Steve is making up a lot of ground from where he was involved in that accident earlier. So he's kept the truck together well, and, you know, we'll see how much he's got, especially as we get this some tire wear here. We should start seeing some pretty good fall off here shortly.
Tyler Hilton in the 52 got himself a top 5 finish at Rockingham, and then was unable to make the next race. But here he is, race number 3, putting on a show here right now, sitting inside 10th place, looking for more, as the 0-5 of Justin Rigsby just in front of him. Justin Rigsby, one of those drivers to keep an eye on. That 0-5 machine is a stout driver week in and week out, running in the RFC Hershey Design Pro Series on Wednesday nights. He is always someone that you got to keep an eye on to pick up a win as well.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things I was just kind of looking at, I was looking at some of the guys a little further back. One of the ones that I'm really glad to see out there right now, we got the number 23 of Bobby Summers, who Bobby has been a regular with us for a while, but he's been battling some pretty good health issues, and he's been, you know, down and beaten up and down for the count for a while now. And so, you know, really glad to see him out here fighting through and just battling and having a pretty good run here. Moved up into the top 16 and just kind of hanging in there right now.
As we go on board with Summers, he is working the throttle, working the steering wheel, looking very smooth right here. Got the 45 of Doug Wysocki just in front of him, and we get a beautiful shot of the embarrassing paint scheme that Doug is having to run. And I myself, I'm from the Kansas City area, so I am by default a Chiefs fan, and I am ashamed that we lost, but nonetheless, our team did a great job, and anytime you can lose to the Patriots in the AFC in overtime, you showed up to play a great game.
Absolutely, and you know, I'm a Falcons fan, so I don't have a whole lot to root for this year. So, you know, glad to see, you know, Chiefs getting up there and really battling in, and they had, you know, they had a great season, of course. You know, can't say I'm too happy to see the Patriots get up there, but you know, that's the way it is.
That's what it is. But that's enough about a bunch of millionaires chasing after a bag of wind. The 51 of Ryan Matthews just putting on a clinic, as we are 5 laps away from the halfway mark, and no one has been able to put a challenge to this machine. The only thing that Ryan Matthews has seen is lap traffic and the pace car.
Oh yeah, and I'm sitting here watching a great battle. We've got Will Dravicki, AJ Rogers, and Tommy Haynes just putting on a clinic. They're both, I mean, all three of them are trying to set each other up and trying to find different ways around and really having a hard time of it. But they're, you know, they're putting on a clinic on clean racing right now and just trying to make something work. Of course, a couple things to shout out there. One, we've got AJ Rogers, who's running the Hub Used scheme. AJ is actually one of our sponsors in RFC. He actually, the Hub Used page actually sponsors our pole awards. So very, very glad to see them on there. A couple other ones we get out there. Tyler Hilton, actually running right now in 11th position, actually has Hilton Crafts and Designs, who sponsors the Hard Charger Award. One of the cool things about the Hard Charger Award here is, of course, we look at, after every race, we're going to look at who gained the most positions. And if you gain the most positions in that race, you get $5 shot over to you in PayPal.
We're riding on board with AJ Rogers as he is battling with Will Dravicki. And the interesting thing about this is Will Dravicki has moved to the high side, and he is holding off AJ Rogers as Rogers is on the inside here. So it's starting. Oh, contact made with AJ and Will.
Contact. Yep, absolutely.
And now the 90 of Tommy Haynes is going around. Haynes gonna come down. Oh man, the 09 of David Roach gonna slide into 3rd spot here. We're gonna back this replay up, and we're gonna watch this from a different angle as they just are battling for every inch of space on the track. AJ Rogers, Will Dravicki, and the 90 of Tommy Haynes doing what they can to fight for those positions. Rogers washing up just a little bit on corner exit. Tommy Haynes with nowhere to go, gonna add fuel to the fire. And around goes Haynes as he makes contact with AJ Rogers, and it looked like Chris Mefford getting a little piece of the back end of Haynes as well. So now we're gonna see a few drivers on pit road here. Hopefully no one is taking tires, because the penalty is quite severe if you do accidentally take tires and pull back out there. Do want to point out Dustin German has made a return to the track. That 28 machine is 8 laps down. The 56 of John Wimbish, he is out on track as well. He is in 21st place. He is 21 laps down. So an unfortunate race number 3 for John Wimbish, who had a great showing here in the first 2 races. But for tonight, not his night, and he is mired deep in the field, very, very far back as far as laps behind. It's trying to get you caught up on everything. Our current running order is Ryan Matthews, Chris Berg, David Roach, Tommy Haynes, and Brian Hacker will make up your top 5. Coming into tonight, our point standings looked something like this, with Steve Baker leading the points, having that first season win, or first win opening up the season. Wow, that is a tough night to talk for me. Jerry West came in 2nd place. Those two right now, they're working their way to the front. Steve Baker running in 7th, Jerry West in 10th. Dustin German came in tonight 3rd place in points, but man, with that connection issue he had, he is mired all the way back into 20th. Tom Quattlebaum and AJ Rogers all doing a good job here tonight so far. Lights have gone out on the pace car. We're getting ready to go back. Green flag racing. Matthews looking to pick up win number 2, possibly going back to back. But Chris Berg is going to have to put up a fight to get that lead away from him. Ryan Matthews gets on the throttle. Here we go. Green flag up in the air once again.
Absolutely. We got actually pretty good lineup there. Matthews, Berg, Roach. You got Hacker moving up into 4th right now as looks like the outside line just didn't want to go there towards the end. Tommy Haynes losing a few positions, and Steve Baker's making a great comeback, moving up into 6th, it looks like now.
He's going to sneak underneath Tommy Haynes, the wounded Tommy Haynes, and now Steve Baker inside the top 5. So a very spirited drive from Steve Baker, who was in danger of going a lap down as he was just clear of the leader on the beginning part of this race. Here he is charging back through the field into the top 5 and wanting a little bit more as he's gotten to run out of room, tag that outside wall.
Yep, unfortunately that kind of happens here with the nature of these trucks at this track, especially coming out of 4. It feels like you have a lot of room to drift up and get on the loud pedal a little bit extra, but man, I tell you what, that outside wall comes up real quick, and the nature of the truck really wants to push off that corner. So if you get on the throttle a little too early, it can get real nasty real quick.
Do want to point out the 09 of David Roach having a great run going here. He is sitting in 3rd place right now. David Roach, part of the WB3 team, and I do believe that's something you're familiar with, Troy.
It is, actually. I'm part of it. Not that I'm partial or partisan to anybody out there, but you know, I am part of it. We do a lot of running around the league, and of course a lot of official races too. Just a good group of guys and fun. But you know, that's kind of one of the things that we did this year with RFC is we've opened up the teams a little bit too. Before we've been you know, pretty adamant about no teams in the league, just because, you know, in the past it's real easy for a league to start having drama because of teams. But honestly, the way I look at it is, you know, we're all groups of friends out here running, and for better or worse, you know who runs with who. So, you know, it just adds a little bit more fun when you can add that team aspect to it.
Well, David Roach in the 09 sitting in 3rd place right now. Great run going for him as he started in 9th. He has moved forward, and it's time to start considering who is going to be our Hilton's Crafts and Design Hard Charger Award winner. And as you can see, the 05 has moved up 15 spots, but the 23 of Bobby Summers, he's moved up 20. So he is hard charging through the field, and if he can maintain that, he is going to win that award by Hilton's Crafts and Designs. That's no small feat to do.
No, definitely not. You know, especially in a field like this, it's, you know, we've got such great competition that it makes it very, very tough. And I tell you what, just looking at a couple guys that I was talking about earlier, we had Jerry West and Tom Quattlebaum Jr., who were running in the back of the pack almost a lap down earlier. And now, as you see, these tires are starting to wear out. You've got Jerry up in 9th and Tom in 10th, both having really solid races, but seem to be moving their way through the field.
The 86 of Jerry West sitting in 9th as he has got a cluster of trucks around him. One of those being the 88 of Dale Osmond and the 52 of Tyler Hilton. As West is now on the underside of Hilton, he is going to make that pass, slide Hilton back into 9th place. Tom Quattlebaum in 10th, looking at charging after his teammate, but running a little bit of a different line. Tom hitting that high side on entry, low side on exit. Gonna see if he can find a way underneath Tyler Hilton in the 52.
Yep, and I know they're both teammates there. Oh, we got Jerry West getting a little loose there coming off of 4, but you've got both of those are teammates, so they're going to give themselves a little bit of room. One thing to watch here, too, coming up in 13th position, we got Will Dravicki working his way back forward. He's got a little bit of damage, but I don't think it's anything that's going to, you know, end his night. So I think you're going to see Will back up here competing for the top 5 before races end.
That 30 machine suffering a spin from AJ Rogers in the 17 machine. Just hard racing in my opinion from those two. Unfortunately though, it did set them back in the pack, and now Will Dravicki able to keep rolling, get back out there and try and fight his way to the front all the way up to 13th. As you mentioned, right behind him is the 22 of John Johnson. John Johnson in that 22 machine having a good run going for him. Looks like he started 18th and right now running in 14th, so moving forward, good progress by that 22 machine.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely got some great runs out there. You got Paul Henley, who just about didn't make the race. He's running 15th right now. Actually, it looks like Tommy Haynes has slid back a little bit, so I'm not sure if he got, looks like he might have some right front damage, so he may have gotten into the wall a little bit a few minutes ago while we were, or actually, I think he was involved in that last caution, had a little bit of damage, so this truck seems to be struggling a little bit right now with that.
Yeah, Tommy Haynes got caught up in that caution with AJ Rogers and Will Dravicki. That truck not handling the way it was before, as he is really falling through the field. He is off of his race pace here, trying to salvage a good finish, as he's got the 46 of Chris Mefford right behind him, and Mefford in that 46 machine, a contender for race wins on a normal basis, but right now he is mired deep in the field as well. He is running in 18th.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Chris got something going on, but he doesn't seem to be pulling it up. I do have a little bit of a follow-up here. My dad, Ray Radford, had a really good run going, made a little mistake. Looks like he pulled down onto a truck, got spun, but didn't seem to have much damage. But he was I just messaged him and finding out why he quit out of the race. And, my dad apparently forgot to turn off the tires, came in and took 4 tires. So, per the rules of the race, he had to quit out.
I'm wondering if that is what has happened to AJ Rogers in the 17, as Rogers did hit pit road, but maybe possibly forgot to have that as well. That's a that's a new curveball that's been thrown here on the Tuesday night Racing for a Cause League. The no tire rule is seems like it may have caught a few people out here tonight.
Yeah, I think so. I actually trying to get confirmation from AJ about what happened there to him. But that's kind of what my guess is right now, that may have gotten him. That may have got him just a little bit. But definitely checking in with a few different guys. Of course, like any good admin during the race, I'm getting about 72 different Facebook messages from people. But, that's the nature of adminning, too.
Well, I'll tell you what, it could be worse. You could be a broadcaster and everyone let you know what you've done wrong.
That's true, actually.
Of course, then all I have to say is it's my show. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. You're a league admin. You got to, you're responsible for a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
So Justin Rigsby right now sitting in 6th place in that 05 machine. Steve Baker got into the top 5, but it looks like that's as far as he's going to climb for the moment, as Brian Hacker has got a bit of a gap on him. Brian Hacker right now almost 2 seconds in front of Steve Baker, but Brian Hacker all over the back bumper of David Roach in the 09 machine, as this is a battle for 3rd place. These two going after it, and Chris Berg still in 2nd, as Ryan Matthews starting to hook up with the back of the field once again to work lap traffic.
Yep, absolutely. Got a great battle there with David Rich, Brian Hacker. Brian's just trying to find any way he can to get around him. David's taking the higher lane, getting a little more run through the center and off. Brian's taking a little harder charge in.
Brian Hacker to the inside of David Roach, side by side through the center of the corner, but Roach with that great run up off the corner. Now he's going to defend down to the inside. How much tire does everyone have left? As we are past the halfway point, we're on lap 115 of 150. Ryan Matthews been out front for all the laps so far.
As looks like we got a caution on the field right now. Yeah, it looks like Chris Berg may have spun out of 2.
Chris Berg in the 67 machine I'm trying to find him as he's dropping through the order. We're gonna back this up. Go to our MaxSpeedTV replay. Works his way down the backstretch here. Into turns 3 and 4 underneath John Wimbish. Wimbish giving him lots of room.
So I'm getting confirmation actually. So Chris has got a little bit of an interesting one. He had major shoulder surgery, so he's driving one-armed. And the funny thing is, actually, Chris is driving better one-armed than he was whenever he had two arms. So Chris has actually been doing a great job, but his arm cramped on him, and he tried to shuffle his arm, and he ended up downshifting in the middle of the straightaway, which is what spun him out there.
Well, that a downshift right there will definitely lock those back tires off, as that looked like exactly what happened. So
yep,
Ryan,
I was. Oh, go ahead, bud. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, Ryan Matthews still out front for this thing, and we're gonna take a quick break and be right back.
All right, guys, we're heading down. Looks like we get the green flag coming out. Ryan Matthews taking off. He's got a good start over David Roach in second, with Brian Hacker in third. Brian Hacker is going to take it deep into three, see if he can into two, see if he can stick it off the corner. They come off side by side, clean, but it looks like David Roach might have enough momentum to keep the position. Yeah, Steve Baker up there trying to take advantage on that high side, but it looks like Hacker's going to be able to shut the door on Steve, and Steve's back there to fend off. Looks like fifth position would be Rigsby. So Justin Rigsby having another good night. He's excellent on the short tracks, as are most of these guys out here, but definitely got some great racing out there, as everybody, at this point just trying to chase down Ryan Matthews. Ryan's definitely been the class of the field tonight.
Ryan Matthews definitely got a stout run going on. Indeed, he is the car to beat, but 55 of Steve Baker really has been the one that I've kept my eye on all race long, as he got mixed up with Eric Teska, and they both suffered some damage, and Steve Baker had to start at the back, and he has made his way all the way up into fourth place now. David Roach in the 09 machine trying to close in on Ryan Matthews. Matthews, though, starting to open up a gap on David Roach, and Brian Hacker has moved into third, looking at another great run by him.
Oh, absolutely, and Brian's just so good. He runs a lot of the late models. He was regular with us in RFC when we had the late models all the time, and I know he runs a lot with USRL too, so he definitely loves running these short tracks, so I really expected to see Brian up there running well tonight. The one that I really am not disappointed to see, but Chris Berg, I was just about to start commenting when he had his spin, but Chris had started reeling in Matthews by a couple of tenths and looked like maybe he was going to have some challenge there for Ryan. And right about the time I started saying that, I gave the good old broadcaster's curse to Chris. And, you know, unfortunately ended up having that situation where he downshifted and cost himself the race.
You know, despite all that, just glad to have Chris Berg out here competing as well, even if he does have one functioning arm as he recovers from that shoulder issue.
Oh yeah, and I tell you what, that's part of what I love about RFC, and we have some really great stories out here. Not just shoulder surgery, but you know, part of what we are here as a league is, you know, causes, racing for a cause. We request that everybody have a cause of some type on their car, and the main reason we did that is, of course, partially just because we're broadcasting. If we're called Racing for a Cause, we want to have, you know, people seeing different causes on the broadcast, but it's more to get people involved, to tell their stories, you know, hang around us. You'll see, you know, you'll see stuff. I mean, heck, like I run the Kidney Foundation colors, and, you know, that's because I have a, you know, heavy background with kidney donation and things like that. And so you get to hear these stories from people, and you know so much more about them. And it grows the community so much more because people are talking about that, or you're seeing it on the broadcast and hearing it discussed, and just seeing some really cool things out of that.
Doug Johnson, Will Dravicki going at it here through 3 and 4. Dravicki on the outside in that 30 machine, Johnson in the 8 on the inside. This is a battle for 11th place. It looks like Dravicki's going to take it away on that outside, as John Johnson in the 22 going to try and start looking for a way underneath the 8 as well.
Oh yeah, and that's a heck of a run by Doug so far. Doug, who's usually, I think Doug does a little bit better on the big tracks, and of course on super speedways he's absolutely excellent. So I'm glad to see him getting up there and really battling hard against some of these good guys. Actually, speaking of Chris Berg, we got Chris just snuck back up into the top 10, so obviously the damage on his truck doesn't seem too bad, and he seems to be recovering pretty well.
Yeah, Chris Berg already in the 10th place. Looks like now he's got to find a way around the 88 of Dale Osmond and the 05 of Justin Rigsby, who Rigsby was just inside the top 5. Now he's lost a little bit of ground, sitting in 8th currently. So he is trying to fight for all he can to hold on, as we got 13 laps to go here, and Chris Berg hard on the charge here, trying to recover from that incident. So far though, has got a little bit more ground to make up.
Absolutely. And, you know, looking at just kind of following up on that duo that are left, you got Jerry West and Tom Quattlebaum. They're hanging out there at the end. You know, got them up in 5th and 6th position in the race. So they're definitely moving up well. And, you know, I actually see something interesting out there, KR. Have you talked yet about the 45 of Doug Wasaki and his special paint scheme he's running tonight?
Oh yeah, you know what? Doug Wysocki, a big, huge Patriots fan in that 45 machine. He's so glad that they are going to the Super Bowl that he had to commemorate this victory and run a paint scheme just to memorialize this moment.
And actually, little known fact about Doug, Doug actually has been begging us for months to run a Patriots scheme. And you know what? I've always said, I said, you know what?
We got one around. Doug Johnson in the 8. Don't mean to interrupt, but Doug is stuck on the infield here. Ooh, as he's going to back it into that guardrail just to make sure it works. And it looks like Doug's got a few damages here, as he cannot get that thing straightened out. That guardrail, though, a lot stronger than that back bumper, as that back bumper is all wadded up. That guardrail says, I didn't feel a thing. So let's go to a MaxSpeedTV replay here, figure out what happened to Doug in this 8 machine. It looks like him and Wimbish gonna make contact as they get into turn number 1. Wimbish holding that inside line. Not sure if he just did not anticipate Doug running a little slower through the center of the corner or what, but those two made contact, and Doug Johnson's gonna go around here. Caution flag will fly for that one. That is going to give Ryan Matthews with the lead, probably going to have maybe 2 laps, 3 laps shootout here at the end of this thing. So the drivers get a chance to catch their breath. All the ones who have seen red as the tempers have flared. maybe get an opportunity to settle down. A good clear head here is going to prevail.
That's it.
Opportunities are going to present themselves.
Oh, absolutely. And we've only got, about 5-6 laps to go here once this thing goes green. So it's going to be a pretty short run to the end. So, it's going to be, I think anybody's going to have a hard time getting by Ryan Matthews. He's been so strong tonight, and especially being able to control this restart. They're going to have a hard time. But, man, I tell you what, if David Roach or them can keep up alongside him on the start, I think they might have a really good one tonight.
Matthews has led every lap so far here tonight. We're gonna, it's hard to talk about how hard it is to be this dominant in a race here with Racing for a Cause. The field has got so much good talent, but Ryan Matthews has been out front as someone that just really is making it look easy.
It really is. And, like you were saying, it's so hard to look at this because you look at it and you go, oh, he's just driving around coasting. But you've got some really talented drivers out here in this field, and especially on these short tracks. So, it really says a lot to how much Ryan's dominated this field. He's able to control the starts, and then as everybody else just fights for position, they, struggling to really get a run and keep up with anything.
All right, Matthews and the 09 of David Roach going to make up this restart row number 1. The 11 of Brian Hacker and the 55 of Steve Baker, row 2. Man, I'll tell you what, if I'm the 09 or the 55, I don't want to be on the outside, but that outer lane got a good shot here. Here we go. Green flag is out. 3 laps to go to settle this Five Flags 150. Matthews with a great jump. He is going to clear the field easily. Hacker moving into second. And Jay Weezy in the 86 battling David Roach for 3rd place. Steve Baker going to go around. And a big stack up behind Steve Baker, as Baker looks like he got a little bit of help here. We're going to back this up. Watch this once again. Steve Baker in the 55. The 86 of Jerry West. The 52 of Tyler Hilton. All those guys right here, as this is going to settle the race. And it looks like the 52 of Hilton and the 55 of Baker make a little bit of contact. And then everyone piling in with nowhere to go.
Yeah, definitely not the way we want to end the race. Could have been a lot worse as far as the drivers involved. Looks like Tyler Hilton at this point is still going to come home 5th, with Steve Baker finishing, looks like 8th.
Man, oh man, that was a wild finish for sure. And unfortunately, it is going to finish under yellow, but your race winner is going to be the 51 of Ryan Matthews. So we're going to set up our post-race show. No one go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we have caught up with the 51 of Ryan Matthews, as he is just about done drawing beautiful lines here at the Five Flags Speedway. Ryan, you go 2 in a row here in the trucks. Tell us a little bit about your race, man.
Yeah, it was pretty clean. The goal was to get pole and lead every lap, and that's exactly what we did tonight.
Well, that is exactly what you did. So goal achieved, 2 in a row. You picked up right where you left off last week. You pick up another win. How does this set the rest of the season for you?
I don't know. There's some tough competition in here, but my goal is to win every other race left of the season. I know that's a high goal, but I think I can do it. It's a lot of practice.
Well, great job out there running the Lung Cancer Foundation of America. Before we let you go, any shout outs, thank yous that you'd like to give?
Yes, sir. I'd like to thank David Roach, Chris Berg, Troy Radford, my dad at Estimate Auto Service, and y'all for broadcasting it.
All right, Ryan, nice job, and we look forward to seeing you next week here in that 51 machine. Congratulations on your second win of the season.
Thank you, sir.
That was Ryan Matthews with the race win, and Troy Radford has caught up with our second place finisher. That is none other than Brian Hacker.
Had to do a little running to catch up with him, but glad to catch up. And Brian, what was it like out there tonight?
I love these short tracks, and it's more fun with these trucks that we don't typically run here. So I had a blast running tonight.
Absolutely, we loved watching you out there, and you're doing a great job. Of course, you know, like I said in the broadcast, you are definitely what I consider one of the short track specialists out there. So we kind of knew to expect you up there. How did the trucks feel in the long run? Especially, we typically don't do no tire rules. So what did you think about that? How did it react versus competition and everything?
Yeah, I was honestly a little worried. This track is notorious for tune-up tires, and I thought that towards the end of the race it might be, a slip and slide like it's been in the Midwest and the Northeast all week. But the tires and the truck actually held up pretty well, and I was able to push it pretty hard for the last 50 laps. And kudos to David Roach. We were running a pretty good, or at least from what I thought, putting on a pretty good show up front. It was hard to pass, but you could run the trucks hard.
Oh, without a doubt. And you guys definitely put on a great show up there, and definitely a clinic, watching some good, clean racing. Really enjoyed watching it from broadcast standpoint, and I'm sure it came over on the booth. Anybody you'd like to thank out there?
Yeah, of course, you guys for putting this on. I've had some pretty rough luck the first 2 weeks running top 10 and getting caught up in some stuff, so it's good to finally bring home a decent finish. It's been a while since I've gotten to talk to you and KR, so thanks for doing this. Thanks to Narrative Coffee Company, AJ Rogers for helping out in this truck series, and KR and Max TV for putting these on.
Absolutely, thank you for coming out, and I'm going to hand it back over to KR, and I think he's got third place.
I do. I have caught up with third place finisher. That is none other than Jay Wheezy himself, Jerry West in the 86 machine. Jerry, what a race you had. What a challenging event, as it took you 150 laps to get into third place, but you managed it.
Yeah, man, it's a long ways up through there when you got a small track like this and all these guys out there. All of them's fast, so it's not easy trying to weave your way up through the field. And I managed to do it twice in a row. So I believe last week I started 27th, this week I started 26th, and finished third both times. So I mean, I just don't like to get up front and race real hard early in the race. Those guys really push hard early on, and I'm more of a last half style racer. I like to come up when I'm needed to, instead of being there when I'm not needed to. So it's been working out for me, fortunately.
Well, that 86 SRTV network truck, once again, challenging itself and charging through the field. Couple of scary moments for you out there. What stands out in your mind the most in this race?
Well, the worst thing I think coming up through there was just myself, battling myself through there. It's real easy to overdrive the car, and I got loose one time coming off 4, and you know, it about got away from me. So it was just trying to stay focused on running the line, hitting the marks, and still moving forward. So yeah, the getting loose off 4, and you know, for a while I had, I believe, KD Osmond and I'm not sure who it was, but they were battling in front of me, and they, you know, they were side by side for 20 or 30 laps, it seemed like. So you just got to be patient as well.
Well, Jerry, nice job out there. Patience paid off for you. You finished 3rd. Another great finish for you as you came in tonight 2nd in points, only 10 points behind Steve Baker. So closing that gap, possibly even taking over the points lead. So great run for you, man.
Yeah, you know, that's what we're here for. We're here for the long run, and you know, it's always fun, and it's always good to win races, but definitely have those good finishes and play the points game. You know, should be a good season.
All right, Jerry, well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. Before we let you go, any final shout outs or thank yous?
Of course, first and foremost, I want to bring awareness to people that suffer from COPD, like my mother. So, you know, if there's anything you can do for those people, reach out to them, ask them if they need a hand with something, because life's really tough. So that's my most important shout out here. But I definitely want to give a shout out to the Vaportrail clothing for bringing us this series here this year, and also Troy Radford for all the hard work he does, and of course Racing for a Cause, man. Been racing with these guys, it seems like forever now. I know it's been at least a year, so we've been having a whole lot of fun, and SRTV Network's on the hood of this thing, man. They helped me get it done.
All right, that is Jerry West. Congratulations on 3rd place, man. Nice job out there.
Thanks, KR.
Man, oh man, guys, what a race we had out here tonight. Troy, what do you got to add to this? I mean, final thoughts of this race? How about this?
You know, honestly, just some really good hard short track racing. We kind of looking through a few of the replays, had a little bit of net code on that last incident with Steve Baker and Tyler Hilton. Looked like some about 2 feet of distance between the cars. So, you know, unfortunate way to end the race, but you know, unfortunately, we have seen some of the servers lately have been having a lot of net code. The main thing that I'll say out there, as Jay Weezy was saying a little bit there, guys, check out Vaportrailclothing.com. They've got some really cool racing merch, really inexpensive quality stuff. I know I've had a few people actually get out there and order, as well as myself, and just can't speak to the quality of the clothing. It's some really cool stuff and really well made.
Man, I'll tell you what, Five Flags Speedway did not disappoint as usual. Good short track race. We saw some bumping. We saw some cautions come out. We even saw a truck barrel rolling down the backstretch. So a wild race here at Five Flags Speedway. But I'll tell you what, this Racing for a Cause group does a great job week in, week out. Always glad to be a part of it. And as you mentioned, Troy, just glad to be associated with that Vaportrail clothing series here tonight. And now it is time to go through our results. Coming in 1st place, dominating performance, leading all the laps, that is Ryan Matthews in the 51 machine. Brian Hacker gonna finish 2nd. 3rd place going to Jerry West. We got to talk to all 3 of those drivers. David Roach finishing 4th, Tyler Hilton 5th, and in 6th place is Justin Rigsby. Steve Baker is gonna end up in 7th. Chris Berg finishing 8th. 9th going to Doug Wysocki, and 10th will be Tom Quattlebaum. 11th will be Chris Mefford. 12th place going to Tommy Haynes. 13th, Paul Henley. Bobby Summers finishing 14th, and Will Dravicki will round out your top 15.
Heading home in 16th, we had John Johnson, number 8 of Doug Johnson won in the 17th. 88, Dale Osmond in 18th. Dustin German, who ran into some trouble midway through the race, coming home 19th, as well as John T. Wimbish, who unfortunately was involved in that first wreck, but did soldier home for a 20th place finish. AJ Rogers, who actually I caught up with AJ after the race, and he was involved in that accident, didn't get too much damage, but got rear-ended afterwards and its engine imploded. So he brings it home 21st. Jason Anderson 22nd. Yum Fortin 23rd. Ray Radford 24th. 25th, Ricky Harden. And Eric Teskey bringing it home tonight in 26th after some early trouble.
All right, guys, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. Do not forget, tomorrow night, that is Wednesday, January 23rd at 8:15 p.m., the RFC Hershey Design Pro Series will be doing the Michael J. Fox Parkinson's Awareness Race, and that will be at Iowa in the K&N cars. Make sure you tune in for that. As for me and MaxSpeedTV, thank you very much for joining us. Troy, you got to sign off?
You know what? I haven't thought too much about it, but guys, thanks for coming out, watching, hanging in with me and KR. I know it might be a little painful to listen to us, but we have fun, and hopefully you guys did too.
Always had fun. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Till we see you again tomorrow, y'all have a good night and enjoy the cold weather. We'll see you soon.